Welcome to FESIG, the free energy special interest group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
Hi everyone, hi, this is Crystal. I welcome all of you to FESIG's 117th meeting. Today is the 4th of October 2023, and we have here our agenda that I am going to share screen right now. So bear with me while I share screen. I am going to share with you what we have up our sleeves today. Okay, so you see my PowerPoint presentation. FESIG is a free energy special interest group, the platform where science meets spirituality, where we have a speaker of science speaking and another of spirit speaking. So it's a platform where all the members really take delight on congregating together on this platform to learn from our brilliant speakers, and we only meet once a month, so we have 2 speakers each time sharing their knowledge and their truths and whatever that they would like to share. We are learning from them big time in order to develop whatever we have come here to do and excel in our divine mission. So I'm going to go through very quickly the PowerPoint presentation. I won't dwell on it too much because every meeting we share the same. You can freeze screen if you want to see more of the words on the screen. Here we have the 117th meeting. Let me just scroll down a bit, just looking for the control panels. Oh gosh, it won't go down. But anyway, this is the agenda, the 117th meeting up there. You can't see it because it's blocked by the whatever it is. So the first session speaker we have is James Reed. James Reed and Phil McCann started IAS in the 80s. IAS is the founder and administrator of the world's oldest anti-aging drug repurposing resource and consults to companies seeking expertise in drug repurposing. The founder and research director of the non-profit Aging Matters TM publication, James will talk about his anti-aging research, prevention, and regeneration. The biggest thing in anti-aging being elongated telomeres, DNA mutation, stem cells, nutrition, pineal peptides, hormones, holistic medicines, diagnostics, and therapeutics. And then we will have a Q&A session after James has completed his presentation. You will have about 1 hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour to speak, to present your knowledge on this subject. James, it will be so wonderful. We will be very quiet listening to you, and then we will have the Q&A session where we will be asking you questions. And then having done that, then we will have a few minutes break, and we will adjourn to the second session, where our returning speaker, Patty Brassard, who's Gaia shaman, holder of the Ring of Midas, returns to speak of Earth's changes. She will be talking about the volcano off the New York shore, where we are at graduation, connecting to the higher self, hands-on, starting the use of the third eye for discernment. Why we are not staying here any longer, as we are not restoring this earth. It's too messed up, including Kim Gogwin. All those who can't speak telepathically has to go to 4D first before they can then graduate to 5D. And we got to leave, as we are supposed to be out of here in September 2013 anyway, so Patty says. Right, so I leave the rest to you to read, and I will quickly start the meeting promptly by introducing James Reed. bio to you. If you want to write to me, it's crystal@truevisionofpeace.com. Our website is truevisionofpeace.com/FESIG.html. And you can freeze frame here and see all these links that you need to know of, and you can join us to have a live interaction with the rest of the members if you join our FESIG group at Telegram. Okay, so you can then have study groups there, having learned from the speakers what you've learned every time we have our meeting. Thank you, folks. I'm stretching my hand a bit. Okay, so let me introduce James Reed to you properly. He's such an accomplished, successful authority in anti-aging, the anti-aging business. James Reed started with his brother IAS in the 80s. IAS is the founder and administrator of the world's oldest anti-aging drug repurposing resource and consults to companies seeking expertise in drug repurposing. James is the founder and research director of the nonprofit Aging Matters publication. IAS is a scientific research organization, innovator and integrator of major medical breakthroughs, and consultant to medical professionals, longevity specialists, patients, and companies. IAS extraordinary cover has spanned multiple disciplines and has produced groundbreaking health and longevity treatments. IAS concise reviews of off-label drug users has resulted in life-saving benefits for numerous patients worldwide. Scientific research of IAS is collaborations and joint research outreach projects with leading academic institutions, including New York Academy of Sciences, American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, Russian Academy of Sciences, Institute of Biochemical Physics, SANS Research Foundation, Interbiome Foundation, British Longevity Society, ELPIS Foundation for Indefinite Lifespan, Alliance for Natural Health, British Anti-Aging Conference, Stromboli Conference. IAS has guided and published significant medical research in multiple fields, including autoimmune disease, cancers, metabolic syndrome, gene switching, and eye disease, and medical innovations. Here, we're talking about the pioneering work of IAS has also resulted in development of new treatments for various types of age-related ailments. For example, the only functional anti-dengue fever treatment and the first ever non-surgical treatment for senile cataract. And upon consultancy services here, we have numerous gerontological and aging expert opinion panel conferences have sought IAS expertise. IAS is regularly invited to lecture at conferences in North America and Asia and has guest lectured for the Russian government ministries of science. IAS anti-aging system is the largest physician and patient public information site for new anti-aging health uses for existing drugs, a resource now used by more than 500,000 patients and doctors worldwide. The beautiful thing is IAS is a non-aligned organization with no formal educational institution or government ties, with a deep humanitarian approach. Today, James will talk about his focused anti-aging research that has led to IAS comprehensive selection of products and services, all designed to prevent aging processes and regenerate different areas of the body. The biggest thing in anti-aging, as we know, is elongated telomeres that James will talk about, DNA mutation, stem cells, nutrition, pineal peptides, hormones, holistic medicines, diagnostics, and therapeutics. Over to you, James. Thank you for gracing our platform with this very important information. Thank you.
Thanks, Crystal. Thanks for that very long introduction. I hope that didn't bore everybody.
Well, people have to know who you are and what you did before.
Sure. Thank you for the invitation to come on. I'm pleased to be here, meet everybody. We started out, as I said, in the 80s, and I was a big reader of science fiction, but I went into the computer business. My brother is a pharmacologist, and we saw, because I was using telecoms way back before the internet, and I saw as we say, the potential of it, because I thought, right, that's going to cover all barriers and borders now, because the internet will be international, so we can completely change the way the world works. Obviously, I was young and naive. We don't follow the usual big pharma model, obviously. What we went out, and if I can share my screen, is that be okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Let me see if I can find it. Where was it? Was that it? That's it, right. If you can see that, this is the book that started it all. It's called Life Extension, A Practical Scientific Approach. And it was written by Durk, Pearson and Sandy Shaw. This book is 1985 on this version. And we read this, and this was groundbreaking stuff, because these two guys, the man and the woman, Durk Pearson and Sandy Shaw, were experimenting on themselves with different formulas and repurposing drugs. For instance, one of the ones I think in there is Centrafanoxin. You may know it, you may not know it, but it's the bonding of two natural molecules together. But the side effect, and it's a very safe substance, it's not a problem. The side effect is it makes every cell in your body more efficient with oxygen. Now, of course, in the medical field, which is, well regulated, let's say, and well controlled by big pharma, they got it approved for open heart surgery. The idea being that you gave it to the people that were going to have open heart surgery 12 weeks before they had the surgery, and it built up in the body. And if while they were having the surgery, some cells got starved of oxygen, they'd be protected by Centrafanoxin, because it does make reuse the oxygen efficiently as possible in your cells. But of course, what Dick Pearson, Sandy Shaw realized was you could take a little bit every day, and your whole physiologically biological system would be more efficient with oxygen. And your brain, of course, is a massive user of oxygen. So what this did is it's opened people's eyes that they could, if they could get them, these substances are out there. And I've got to face it, when we started out, the nootropics, nootropics means a good effect, and nootropics improve the brain. I think today, in today's age, I think with the internet, most people have heard of nootropics. You've got Modafinal, which helps you concentrate. That was used by the French Foreign Legion, so they could fight all night. It doesn't stop you sleeping, but it doesn't key the triggers for sleeping. So you can take Modafinal and you can work all night if you want to. And then when you want to go to sleep, you just lie down and it doesn't stop you sleeping. You can go to sleep. So that was a very popular medicine, let's say, substance. A friend of mine, he wanted to drive to Scotland, and he asked me, it was going to take him a long time. So he said, I don't want to fall asleep. Is there something I could take? I said, yes, Modafinal. So the next time I saw him, I said, how did that work with that trip to driving up to Scotland? He said, great, he said, but you didn't tell me. It worked fine, he said. I didn't sleep, and I didn't feel sleepy, and I drove all night. He said, but you didn't tell me. It didn't stop me dreaming. He was being overtaken by unicorns. He was seeing angels as he was driving up there, because the mind still was bringing these things in. So that was a big laugh for that. But these nootropics, there's a whole range of them. There's the Rasatam group of chemicals, like Perasatam, Anarasatam. Now, Parasatam, if you take that, that'll let you read a book and you won't get brain fade. And it's very mild, actually. It's in the background. It's not a stimulant or anything like these amphetamines or nothing like that at all. These are actually work with the body. And you can take Parasatam and you could be reading a book and go, that's funny. I'm halfway through the book and I'm not even slowing down. I can read it, no problem at all. So when we started out, Life Extension Foundation, you've probably heard of them. They're in Florida. They've changed their name now, but they picked up on this book and started a business around it. Now, of course, they're American, they're in Florida. They got loads of problems, legal problems, because big pharma has monopolized this area. Now, what they did is they really published the science on supplements, not medicines, because they tried to start supplying medicines and couldn't because they just got raided. So we were interested in this field, and we were talking to Bill Falloon and Saul Kent. They were the founders of Life Extension in Florida, and they were friends of Durk, Pearson and Sandy Shaw that wrote this book. And they've built that up now to a massive business, but just supplements, no medicines. And what we did, we stepped in and said, look, well, why don't we research the law and find out if we can do it from England? And it turns out we could, because you have a right of self-importation of up to 3 months supply of a medicine, approved or unapproved in America. So that's how we started up. We started up a business basically making these nootropics available to Americans, chiefly Americans. And we've been running a good number of years now, and America is still our #1 market, but Japan is our second market. That's grown quite significantly. So that's how we started. And I recommend, if you can get this book, there's still, look, there's 12 used there for £9.75 English, if you're interested. It's still very valuable. It's still, everything it tells you about the drugs in there, like Centrafanoxin, the Nootropics, all the Anarasatams. They're not the only nootropics. There's other things that improve your brain function. There's things like Hydagin. Hydagin is extracted from the Ergot fungus on the rye, and the effect it has on humans is it grows more dendrites on your neurons in your brain, so you get a denser network, and it's easier to learn things, obviously, because it's a form of computing. The amount of connections you have in your brain is related. So you can get Hydagin that will also improve your brain. On those early days, we were all taking Centrafanoxin, Parasatam, and Hydagin, and Modafinal when we needed it, which wasn't often, but you can take it as you need it. It's quite harmless. The only thing about, let's go back to Centrafanoxin, was if you kept taking it and you built up in your body, you'd know you were taking too much, because you get very snappy with everybody, because everybody else seems slow, because it speeds up your speed of thinking. And we sell it to racing drivers even today. It's still bought because of that fast thinking. You make decisions much faster with Centrafanoxin. But if you take too much of it, you'll get snappy with everybody, but also you'll get a tension in your neck.
Right now?
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
it's okay. I just signed. Oh, Patty's on. Okay. Yeah, I just signed on. So
There's
Just
an
put me-
interruption.
I'm just
Will you mute yourself, Lindsay, please?
So my
Okay, there you go. Sorry, Jim. Carry
No,
on.
no problem. So you know if you're taking too much Centrafanoxin, because you get this tension in your neck, tightness. It's almost like heat stroke, and you get clamping of basically your neck muscles and shoulders. So what you do is just stop taking it, and then it goes away. So all these things are very safe, but of course they're not approved for anything, because our modern drug system is you have to wait till something's broken in your body before you can get something prescribed, and therefore, to try and address it. Whereas we're looking at it, and all these other people in this movement of life extension, we're looking at it as enhancing and improving your just everyday living. Because if you can think better and faster, and you're more healthy and you're more efficient with oxygen, so your brain's working better, that's got to be an advantage in life. So that's where we started. In fact, in the early days, Life Extension Foundation was pointing all their members to us who wanted to buy the medicines, because they couldn't get it inside the United States. That's how we started out. Let me see if I can switch over to our website, which is there. Is it? No. Sorry, bear with me. This is I'm not used to this Zoom, and I'm struggling. Oh dear, where's it gone? Completely disappeared. So anyway, we started out with Nutripills, and the Parasatam was developed by a Belgian company called UBI, I think it was. They had the patent on Perasatam as a tablet for just general improved brain function, and they called it Nutripill, and that name has gone across the board now to anything that improves brain function. So you should see my screen. It's from our website. The just let me know you can see that, please, somebody.
We can see, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nootropics.
Okay, that's it. So back in the early 90s, we formed a company, and it was called International Anti-Aging Systems, because we knew that we'd spread out into other things as time went on, and we knew the bulge in the population, that is the baby boomers, would want something. As they all got older, they'd want to move to something to help themselves. In the early days, of course, no one had heard of anti-aging. The early 90s, we used to get people phone up and go, anti-aging, what is that? Anti-rust paint? Now, of course, anti-aging is, as we predicted, as the boomers got older, everybody wants it, and it's everywhere, and the big boys have moved into it. Google's got Calico and put billions in to study aging. Microsoft's into it, Amazon's into it, Jeff Bezos. I think even Elon Musk has got into it. So all the big boys are into it. There's a rich family called the Buck family, I think, did an endowment of something like $2 billion to start the Buck Institute in Switzerland. And we knew well, we still do know the ex-director of the Buck Institute. Basically, they're spending a fortune, but they're not discovering anything new. They're just confirming all the things that happen when you age, which is such a waste of money, we feel. Anyway, I wanted to let you know that IAS stood for International Anti-Aging Systems. Excuse me. Let me skip on. We're identifying, our job is what we were looking at, is to identify anything that's modafinal, by the way, you can see on your screen. We have our own manufacturing facilities, and we have everything tested by independent labs when it's delivered to us to make sure the quality's there. We found, actually, it was worrying that some of the, because we were selling everybody else's medicines, the big brand names, because we thought, well, that would be the safe thing to do. But we actually found some products out there that had contaminants in, and they were from the big name manufacturers, which was extremely worrying. I used to take metformin. I don't know if anybody's familiar with metformin. It's a good all-round drug. It helps people with diabetes. But again, one of the side effects of metformin is more efficient processing of sugars and so forth. So it helps your weight as well. But I found when I took it, I didn't feel right, and which is really strange because it's a very good molecule, metformin. And it turned out that there was a contaminant in metformin, very small, from the manufacturing process, from the big brand, that was causing that problem. We now make our own, and I don't have that problem anymore. But be that as it may, we're looking at anything that helps in aging. So anything that helps your brain function, anything that helps your mobility. Now, I do know that in America, you're paying over the top because of big pharma's monopoly on everything, and they've lobbied for the laws in their favor. I mean, you've gone from inhalers that cost $15 that now cost $400, and there's no increase in the drug cost or the machine that delivers the inhaler. You know, the plastic molding. It's just pure greed on big pharma's side. So when we came into this naively, looking at all their products, and we started as a publishing company. In fact, I've lived in Florida, I've lived in Alabama. I went into the Alabama hospital libraries because they're so good there. I've lived in Tennessee. I've lived in Monaco, hence my nickname. I've lived in the Far East. They haven't caught me yet, as somebody said. So what it is they only want you to sell stuff or their stuff through their channels and for this prescribed what it's approved for, which is crazy because we have components here, and some of these are almost natural, are very close to natural. Some of them are just extracts of plant, like the one that's in the middle of the screen here, Vimpacetin. Vimpacetin is a plant extract, that's all. It improves circulation, you get better brain function, you get better body function because your blood flow's improved. But they only want you to sell that when you're sick and what it's approved for. Now, we didn't work that way. We said, well, if this is good for you and you can take a little bit every day and it's doing you good, then let's publish it. And we published it, and we had a sheet those days. It was very, very, very early internet. We had a sheet, and it was called word of mouth publishing. It was a sort of a joke. And what we got is doctors phoning up or contacting us and saying, this is interesting information. I'm interested in, let's say Parasatam. We're interested in Parasatam. Where can we get it? And we go, well, who did the study? UBI did the study in Belgium. They're the company that makes it. Why don't you go to them and ask them for the supply? And of course, off they go. About a month later, excuse me, about a month later, they'd come back and go, we contacted them in Belgium, and they said, where are you? And we said, we're in the States. And they said, oh, you have to contact our UBI America. And he said, we contacted UBI America and said, look, we're interested in getting this Perasatam or whatever it was at the time. And UBI in America go, oh, no, it's not approved in America. We can't supply it to you. And so in about a month's time, they'd all come back to us and go, look, we can't get this in America. The big pharmaceutical companies have carved up the world and they've put barriers up. And we said, okay, because we were a publishing company. So then we started looking into the law behind it, and we found out you could actually supply Americans under this personal importation rule. And so we started up IAS proper as a product company, and we bought in these few products at the beginning. And the rest is history, as they say. It took off. Now, I'll tell you about the legal problems that we had as we went down the line, because obviously we became to the attention of Big Pharma, and they then moved their law agencies, police watchdogs into position on us in some places, and we had to keep addressing that. But just let me mention these three on the screen that you can see. Depronel is salicylic, and it's a substance, and we've come to our attention that studies that were done on it on animals, every animal that was given salicylic or Depronel lived longer. Now, it has it's subtle, but it has these effects of a slight antidepressant. It ups some brain chemicals, seems to be it. Now, you'll notice on here that you'll find that if you click on view product on this particular website, is you can read about, and we have a huge library. I don't know if it's still there because not many people used to go and look at the scientific references. But if you go and look at it, it'll tell you about it on this website, but you can't buy it from this website. And you go, well, that's crazy, isn't it? Why are you telling me all about these products and I can't buy them? But what happened is, you see, is the authorities stepped in and said, look, if you're making medical claims and selling these products, you have to be regulated. So we looked at that. We always like to think outside the box. You have to do that to be able to survive in this world. And we went, okay, we won't sell it off the informational website. We'll start other websites that do the selling, but they won't tell you anything about the product. So if you go and look at one of these products or any of their products on our site, it'll go, there's a button down the bottom says, buy it from an approved retailer or supplier. And it's actually our other websites, of course, but they can't hold us to, say, making medical claims about the products. So as long as we sell separate from the information, they can't touch us. And that's how we had to done that to survive, as you might imagine. So there in front of you is three products that would improve your brain function just incredibly. Depronel, you'd get an antidepressant effect, but also improved function. Vimpasetting, a plant extract, you get improved circulation throughout the body, including the brain. And Parasatam, again, this thing just ups your brain capacity, so you don't get brain fade so easily. So this is where we started. And so now we're not even selling a lot of the branded stuff. We do still have some big brands that we haven't had manufactured or can't get manufactured. We'll sell big pharma's product. But a lot of this stuff now we have made. If you notice this here, that says it looks like USB. I think I've got the letters wrong. UCB. That is the Belgian product that I was talking about. This is Nutripil, which is actually Perasatam. This is a syrup version. We don't manufacture the syrup. We manufacture the tablets, which is here. But the UCB is the original. And if people want the original, which is where the study was done, then it's there and it's available. So that's Nootropics. People are still the big seller for us. Big seller for us. And as time went on, what we did, I'll just cut to the beginning again, is we were...
Sorry to interrupt, Jim. The Parasatam is the one that is for sleep problems.
Is that,
right?
is that a question for me, Patty?
Yeah, no, it's me. It's me.
Oh, Crystal.
It is the Perasatam, the one that is helping with sleep problems?
Not specifically. It helps brain function. It increases your capacity, stops you getting brain fade. Sleep problems, you're probably talking about melatonin. Melatonin, a natural substance released by the body when it's dark. It has to be dark, no blue light especially, which is why we have these blue blockers on tablet screens and so forth. Your body starts releasing melatonin when it's dark in anticipation of putting your body to sleep. And melatonin, of course, is the body's repair mechanism. When you go to sleep, melatonin comes out. It starts repairing everything.
Which is the drug that helps us produce melatonin naturally?
Well, excuse me, I've got to have a drink. Excuse me a second.
FYI, FEMA is doing the broadcast.
Are you going to go off? Are you recording it, or are you going to carry on listening? Is he gone?
Oh, I'll carry on listening. Sorry about that. I'm just excited about what you're saying about the drugs.
No problem. Let's have a look. Books, diagnostics, nootropics, nutritional. Let's try nutritional supplements. Maybe that's where it is. That's not it. What we did actually is we give melatonin. We work with a wonderful Italian professor, Professor Pierpoli, and he had his own lab in Switzerland. I think most of these labs use animals for their testing. He had about 1,000 mice in the lab, but his work was chiefly with melatonin. And if you look up Professor Pierpoli, you'll even find maybe his books on our website under books. It's quite amazing because he found out that selenium and zinc in your diet is actually in the pathway being used when you want melatonin. So he came out with a product which we had manufactured for him, and we retail it for him, which was called ZNS. What it is melatonin tablets, but it mimics exactly how the body puts out melatonin, because you go to sleep and then about an hour later it starts peaking up to its maximum. Presumably this is when the body's in REM sleep, the deepest sleep, and that's when it's doing its most good, and then it slowly tails off to the morning. And we've noticed that a lot of melatonin products, you can go down to Walmart's and buy melatonin tablets, but they'll just go straight to maximum, and then as long as it lasts, and then it will drop off almost immediately. It doesn't mimic how the body issues melatonin. So the whole thing about Professor Pierpoli's melatonin is the fact that it mimics exactly what we want and normally use in levels of melatonin, and it's got zinc and selenium in the mix, because that was the essential part of it. So that was very interesting. We worked with it. I'm going back many years now. These are all the early things we started with.
Jim, I don't mean to interrupt. Since
No,
you're
you
on the
can stop
subject
me
of
anytime,
melatonin,
please.
since you're on the subject of melatonin, right? Even the NHS GP is prescribing melatonin, but it's only about 2 milligrams or 3 milligrams.
Yeah, 3
But
milligrams.
you were
yeah.
talking about 3 figures milligrams of melatonin.
You can take a
actually
lot of
work.
melatonin because it doesn't harm you. It's actually repairing. It's repairing things in your body.
Mhm.
So the 3 milligrams is the accepted dosage. But when we started looking at the science through Professor Pierpoli, then you start discovering that what is normally put out there is not necessarily the optimum dosage. So we tried just to put all the information out there and people can make their own minds up. Now, we've taken a lot of scientific information and rewritten it in simple fashion. I guess we could get AI to do that now. But of course, that wasn't around when we started. There was hardly an internet around when we started. So things have developed as we've gone on, you know. Other players came into the field very late in the day, people like the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine.
Sorry, we have another interruption. Okay, sorry, I muted the newcomer now, Jim. Sorry
Oh.
about that. Gonna,
Do you want me to start again if they've missed out?
yeah, please.
Well, from the beginning?
Yeah.
Or just about melatonin?
Just about melatonin, because
Okay.
somebody just jump in and without
no.
muting the
Yeah.
the
No
mic.
problem.
Yeah.
So just to recap, we started out in the late 80s just looking at scientific studies, because let's face it, there's only about a third of the scientific trials and studies online. The rest are in libraries, which is why we moved to Alabama, because the hospital libraries in Alabama were fantastic. And that we work with other clinics, and they will actually go and send people to libraries, because that's where you'll find a lot of the information. As I say, is only a small percentage is actually online and available. So once we found out these compounds and they were safe and effective, of course they were approved for something, but that's not what we were interested in. We were interested in anything that did the body good. And if you get it and it was safe and you took a small bit every day and you had this wonderful increase in function, brain and body health, then we thought that was a good thing. And we started out publish that information. A lot of doctors picked it up, and then found out that big pharma and the pharmaceutical companies would not supply it, because they've cut the world up and they've cut it up to what's approved in America and what's approved somewhere else. We have 400 times more drugs in Europe than they have in America. You go, well, why is that? It's because it's so expensive in America to get something approved. It takes about $1 billion to get a new drug approved in America. So we thought, well, look, there's a lot of good European drugs that we could send to America. And once we studied the law and we found out that there was personal importation available, that we could send stuff into America, even though it was approved or unapproved, that's perfectly legal. Then, of course, it's clamped down a little bit since then, because you've got so many drugs coming in from Canada, and they were losing so much profit in America that they've lobbied to have the law changed. But we're still supplying America, and we do it in a certain way that we've found works, and our stuff doesn't get stopped. And we can supply directly to the end user. We're not interested in sending pallet loads of stuff across. You know, we're quite happy to send it directly to the end user. So when we found these things and published them, and then these doctors said, look, we can't get them, we then looked into the law, set up a supply company, and that's where we are today. This is that we're still growing and adding things to our range. If you want to talk about melatonin more, I'll try and do some more talk on that if you want, or I'm just going to do the general stuff now. I'm going to try and speed up and bring you up to date. Now, the thing about aging is we knew that there's certain problems that occur as we get older, and we designed things like the aging pyramid. So the bottom of the pyramid, which has the most effective, of course, is your environment, the amount of exercise you have, and what you're eating. That's the base of the pyramid, because obviously they're the big effects. And then, of course, you can move up to, supplementing your vitamins and so forth. And then you move up the pyramid, and right at the top is probably these medicines, which is the smallest part of the pyramid. But of course, it's all part of controlling your aging, getting the best out of your life. And it's always about, cost and convenience. So if something is too costly, you're not going to incorporate it in your daily regime. If something is too inconvenient, you're not going to incorporate it. We're not all Michael Jackson. We're not going to go to sleep in an oxygen tent every night, or have a doctor on call injecting us with stuff every 5 minutes. So, that's too inconvenient and too costly. So we have to hit that balance that people can use these things. And that's what we try to make happen. Over the years, we designed analysis software, but we were too early for the market. It hadn't really caught on. But we spent a lot of money researching what all the aging markers are. Now, some of these things, let's say testosterone in men, it deteriorates or declines in a linear line. So you got a graph, if you imagine it, put a 45 slope on it going less. That's pretty much how testosterone in men levels happen as they get older. So you go to the doctor and you're 50 and you say, I haven't got the sex drive I had when I was 30. And the doctor will go, let's measure your testosterone, free testosterone in your blood. And they do the test and they go, well, actually, you're in the range for a 50-year-old. So you're normal. That's not the approach that we should be having. And we've always campaigned to try and say, look, if your optimum testosterone level is a 30-year-old, then why aren't we trying to struggle to keep the testosterone level? And it's the same for women, for estrogen and so forth. So when we started this research project, we called it Inner Age, because at the end of the day, if you can measure all these things, and the money we spent was on research. Testosterone is an easy one because it declines linearly, but in a straight line. But some of them are actually U-shaped. So if you get a measurement of a certain level of in something in your body and it's on a U-shaped thing, it moves up when you're young and then it rapidly moves down again. You don't know which you're on the up or the down when you've just got one value of the measurement. So we spent the money trying to find age markers in the body that that went down or up predictably. Because when a man, as he ages, his testosterone, you've got a slope going down, but you've also got a slope going up on cortisol, the stress hormone, because everything's a struggle as you get older, and so the cortisone goes up. So we identified all what we thought was predictable age markers. And I'll tell you one of the weird ones is if you've got a ruler and you put it on the bridge of your nose and then you slid a business card towards your eyes, there'll be a point where you can't focus on it. Do you know that distance from your nose where it goes out of focus is entirely relatable to your age? So there's a tool that doctors have, it's called a Krimsky-Prince rule that measures this, right? And so what we did is when we went to shows, we had a lot of plastic ones made, and we were testing people while they were coming up to us at the shows, conferences. And it's so accurate, it's unbelievable. You slide this down, they'd stop, and then you'd look at the rule where we marked the ages, and boom, we predicted their age, even we didn't know their age. We could have done it without looking at them. You just give me the rule where you stop your card, and I'll go, right, you're 45. That's amazing. And that's one of the things. Another one we found through the research was how long you can balance on one leg with your arms folded, let's say, not waving around, with your eyes closed. That has a direct a correlation with your age. We tend to lose balance as we get older. Now, you can train for it, of course, and train yourself to improve your balance. But it's amazing. You ask people to close their eyes, put their arms down to the side, and stand on one leg, and then you time them before they, had to put the other leg down to balance themselves or fall over. That also has a direct correlation with age. All these things were easily measurable, very easy. Lung capacity was another thing. Those little tools that you blow through this big tube, a little propeller in there, and it'll tell you the force of your breath and the volume. These things were all measurable, very, very easy. So we launched the software system, and we'd taken the body shaping and reaction we had basically came up with software that once you took all the measurements, you'd plug them into the software, and you have a body on the screen, and it would have traffic lights spots on it all over. All you did was put the cursor on one of the traffic lights, let's say all the red ones or one of the red ones, and a box would pop up and say, oh, this is your whatever it is, testosterone level, should be this, or optimally it should be this, but your reading is this. So you didn't have to be a doctor. You could have used this software, just looked at your own body shape, run the pointer over the points that were red or yellow. Those are the ones that needed attention. If it were green, they were fine, no problem there. And then the software would then tell you all the things that could alter that reading. So it was testosterone, you'd have to take a supplement of testosterone or injections, whatever it was. It also gave you the answer. And so a number of doctors picked it up, mostly European ones, actually, not the American ones. And they were testing their patient for age and what they could do to help alleviate it. But unfortunately, actually, we took the body shape, by the way, from the gaming industry, the video gaming industry, because they'd done an awful lot of work on doing a body shape, a movement that was natural. So we used that. But we were ahead of the curve, and there wasn't enough take up to keep it going. We might introduce it later on. I think it's now coming back. We got Fitbit watches now, and all these other things have come in, so we could improve it. And there's all sorts of things we could do. Where was I going with that? Sorry, I lost my track there. Yeah, so we invented that software. There's a funny point on that. It was we called it Inner Age. We got contacted by Dr. Oz. Do you remember Dr. Oz? He was on Oprah and places. He had a company, and he wanted us to stop using the name Inner Age because it was very close. Yeah, it was very close to a piece of software he'd launched called Real Age, but his Real Age wasn't based on. We had to drop it because he's got so much money. We called it something else, which I can't even remember now, because he forced us to. But his Real Age software was like a questionnaire. What size car do you drive? Small, medium, or large? Because the insurance table showed that people who drove larger cars survived better in crashes. So he had all these questions, and then it would table it up at the end and give you a prediction on, how long you were going to live, or what your real age, chances of living was all coming into it. But it was more like astrology than ours. Ours was scientific tests. We were measuring things in the body, taking blood sample, getting lab readings, plugging those readings into our software. But he would hear none of it. He wanted us to change the name, so we did. So that was the end of it. Inner Age. What did we call it? We called it something very neutral, very unexciting. Perhaps that's why it didn't take off. Anyway, there we are. So let me just how many? Well, can I? There's no point in me asking a question. Everyone's muted. There's an eye drop on the market now called Can-C, and it's against senile cataract. It actually dissolves it. Let me tell you the background on that. We were attending the Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine's yearly conference in Las Vegas every December, and we used to have a booth there and so forth and so forth. And you know what? If you've ever been to American conferences, you don't get any peace. They want to meet you at breakfast. They want to talk to you as you walk to the conference to man your booth. When you're on your booth, they want to talk to you. When it's, lunch is the only break you get, and then you scarper off into the corner of the lunchroom and have a quiet, it's your break you get. And then the afternoon, you're working all afternoon. And then the evening, they say, well, let's go out for drinks. We want to talk about this. And literally they're talking, if someone's talking to you until you go to bed, and then the next morning you do it all again. So we were skipped off to the corner of the lunchroom at the, I'm trying to think where it is. It's in the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. That's I think it was. Yeah. And we're sitting there going, oh, thank goodness we got a bit of peace and quiet. And all of a sudden, this Russian walks over and plonks himself down at our table. And we said, hello, are you attending the conference? Da. Ah, okay, well, we're enjoying this, whatever it was we were eating. Are you going to get something to eat? Niet. I want to talk to you about something we have developed. Yeah. Oh, someone's calling me. Oh, it's all right. He said, we want to talk to you about this product that we have developed. I have developed. His name was Vavesh. And we went, well, we'll be on our booth just right after lunch. Da. Okay, now what I have developed is an anti-aging cigarette. So we're sitting there going, oh no, he's going to bend our ear now for the only peace and quiet that we get at this conference, you know. So we were very polite. And he went, we have identified all the poisons and toxins in present cigarettes, and we have designed the compounds that we will be able to burn and actually produce good compounds and therefore offset any negativity of cigarettes. We can call it anti-aging cigarette. I said, have you tried the cigarette companies or anybody else? Da. I said, and they interested? No, they have all of them have rejected us. Oh, that's a shame. Well, anyway, very interesting to hear about it. No, you will have a company, you can do this. No, I'm sorry. We are only a science-based company, and I grant you've got science behind your product, but we don't sell cigarettes, and we wouldn't go into cigarettes. And one of the other things is, if you bring out a safe cigarette, it implies all other cigarettes are unsafe, and they will murder you. Literally, they will come down on you, get a ton of bricks. Oh, da. Okay, not a product we have developed. You know, there was no peace. He just went. But what was interesting is he worked at the Helmholtz Eye Institute in Moscow. And they had, for the last, I think it's 15 years or more, they had developed and were interested in finding a solution to cataracts in the eye lens. And so he said, we have developed this, and it's well proven we can dissolve cataracts in the lens of eye. We said, oh, look, okay, look, we'll take you all your details. We'll give you our business cards. We are science-based, so you're going to have to send us the science. So lunch finished, we went back to the booth, and he was floating around doing whatever he was doing. And off we went, and then we flew back to England. And about 3 weeks later, a big package turned up at our office. It's like several phone books. And it turned out to be the science and all their developments of this anti-cataract solution that they'd come up with at the Eye Institute. And we looked at it, and it was amazing. There's no doubt they had an introduction of N-acetylcarnosine as a liquid into the eye, and it was basically clearing cataracts in the lens of humans. So we went and contacted him, obviously. In fact, I think we flew him over to England to sit down with him. And we said, look, this is fascinating. This obviously works. Why have you not taken this up with Bausch and Lomb or any of the big pharmaceutical boys? Because they go crazy for something like this. There's nothing like it on the market. You either have cataracts or you have eye surgery, and no one likes eye surgery. He said they're not interested because N-acetylcarnosine is a natural molecule, and they cannot patent it and make billions.
It's all about money.
Yeah, it's all about money, not health. So we looked at this. Now we said we do have some reservations because you're using mercury in this drop as a preservative. We don't do that in the West anymore. We don't use thimerosal, a mercury-based preservative in any medicines anymore because we know mercury is not good for you. Patty, are you missing any of this, or do you want me to go over it?
Sorry, go over what? The eye,
no,
the
Patty was away,
cataract.
but she come back, but she got her headphones on. I thought she could hear me.
Yeah.
That's all right. No,
Okay.
we'll just plow on. So we said, give us some time to go right through this science, because there's an awful lot of it. I think they were using it on rabbits, and then they were, I don't know how they were inducing cataracts in these rabbits in their lab, and then they were treating them with various things, and then they were terminating the rabbits and autopsying their eyes. I think that's how it works in lab. I'm not sure. I've never worked in a lab or done any tests like that. Anyway, we went over it for about a month, and we had reservations about like the mercury and some other stuff in their formulation. So what we did is we hired 2 American eye specialists, eye drop specialists. We still talk to them today. Brilliant. They're really good. They had a look at it and they went, okay, look, we can suggest some improvements here. Get rid of that mercury and some other improvements in how to formulate this. And they came up with a formula, an improved formula. So what we did is we had that formula made up, the improved one. We took the original formula from the Eye Institute of Moscow, the Helmholtz Eye Institute, and we had 3 other ones made up that were combinations, basically, of a mixture of stuff that very close. And then what we did is we just numbered those formulas 1 to 5, and then we paid the Helmholtz Eye Institute to do a test. It cost a lot of money, and it took them months because they had to, I suppose they used it on these rabbits. But when the results came back, they said number whatever it was the best. And not only was it the best, it's the best they'd ever seen. They couldn't believe how much N-acetylcarnosine was being delivered into the lens, because you have to deliver this by osmosis. It has to infiltrate the eye by covering it across the membranes, because don't forget, the eye and the lens maintenance is all done by the fluid in the eye. So there is no blood vessels going into the lens, so it has to basically filter across the barrier. And they were impressed. They wanted to know how we'd improved and upped the intake, the delivery method. And we said, we were not telling you, we're keeping that proprietary. But we did do a contract with them, and they get paid a royalty for every bottle we sell. And we then went off and tried a few manufacturers of eye drops. And you have to be very careful with eye drops, because if you manufacture a formula and you put it straight into eye drop bottles, it will change pH. So it has to sit for a couple of weeks when it's manufactured. And then before you go to bottle it, you have to test the pH is neutral. Otherwise, it will sting the eye. And, if you've got a big pH difference, you can cause blindness in people, especially people who've got sensitive eyes already in ill health. So we were very careful, and we found a manufacturer that would do it properly. And we did that like 15 years ago, and it's still one of our top sellers. And we've saved hundreds of thousands of people's eyesight through cataract. Even if you haven't got cataract, you can use Can-C in the eye, and you'll notice immediately that colors seem brighter. Then, if you go on YouTube, you'll find loads of people who've doing testimonials, not the ones we've paid for, they're just independent ones, and they've tried these different eye drops, and they go, it's amazing, we use Can-C, and then we're driving at night, I don't get all that glare from the oncoming headlights. It does clear the lens, it's exactly what it does. And the Russians will tell you that's exactly what they found, so that there was no controversy about it. But no one would commercialize it except us, because they couldn't make billions, because you can't patent a natural molecule. Well, within 6 months of us launching this, the first ever anti-cataract eye drop, there was 2 copycats on the market.
Oh.
And they obviously thought it was just N-acetylcarnosine in a liquid in an eye drop. They thought that's all you needed to do. And if you go on YouTube, you'll find people going, I tried this, and my, does it sting? It really stings. So obviously these people hadn't got the quality in it. They hadn't done it properly. And they just thought it was N-acetylcarnosine. So it was amazing. We've now got 4 or 5 copycats on the market because they just still think it's N-acetylcarnosine in a drop. But nevertheless, all the results, people who put testimonials on YouTube are saying that it's Can-C that comes out with the best results. And it's no wonder, because there's 20 years of research behind it, plus a load of testing, plus it's been tuned and tested to get the best delivery. I did line up here somewhere a little note. Let me see if I can find it. Sorry, I'm messing you around.
Our people are asking you, Jim, what's the name of the cataract eye drug that you're selling?
It's yeah, sure. I think it's on our front page. He says wrongly. Sorry. Oh, here we are. called Can-C. There it is.
Yeah, can see. Right.
We did do some
Okay.
supporting capsules to help nutritionally support the eye. I mean, if you've got it really bad and had it for some time, but that they are not necessary at all. The dry drop itself, and one of the strange things we found out is if you put Can-C in one eye only, your body will carry it over to the other eye, which obviously the body knows what's good for it.
Yeah.
And it works in dogs and cats, of course. It's just the same.
Yeah.
We get lots of dogs with cataracts. We saw a lot of this that people on islands, it must be the reflected ultraviolet off the sand or something that gives them cataracts. I don't know, but a lot of old people. Now we know that the dark colored skin of people, a Negro race and so forth, have a much higher requirement for vitamin supplementation, that the bodies use much more and need much more. So they tend to suffer from cataracts more than, say, the Scandinavian races. You're right there, Patty.
Patty, I'm sorry, I have to unmute you. I can't hear. Yeah, there you go.
I think
You can unmute yourself, Patty.
I'm just worried about her. She's okay. Maybe she's watching the emergency broadcast. I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah, you had muted me because I have the ability to mute myself here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I beg your pardon.
Okay, if you're right. Anyway, yeah. So anything about eye health, Can-C will help. Even I use it. I don't have cataracts, but I find it just helps. See the picture you've got of me. I think you put it up somewhere. On the advert for the talk. That was me at 40. I'm now 69, and I don't have cataracts, but boy, does that Can-C help my eyes. It really does. I'm not trying to sell you the product. I'm just telling you that this thing is well proven. And we've been selling it for like 15 years. And it's we got filing cabinets full of people just extolling how it saved their eyesight and how, even in their pets.
And the beautiful thing is it doesn't have the poison, the mercury.
No, we don't.
The only thing I'm wondering, does it help with astigmatism? Because as I'm aging, my astigmatisms get worse and worse.
Do you mean close focus or long sight?
Yeah, close focus.
Yeah, this is what I was saying, Patty, about when we did this software, we found the things that correlate with aging is your close focus. And if you put a ruler on your nose and slide that,
I heard that
down, so that's why it's happening. And yes, it will help with that. And you know why? It's because N-acetylcarnicin is an anti-glycator. That means it uncross-links linked proteins. What happens as you go older, sugars that you take in your diet actually get proteins cross-linked. And if you see the analogy of that, I mean, obviously it affects the eye lens because it needs flexibility. So that's where you notice it, but it's happening throughout your body. So if you imagine you went through a factory and every day handcuffed two workers together, let's say they're the proteins and you're cross-linking them, you can imagine as you get older, that factory is going to get less and less efficient because the workers are all getting handcuffed together.
Yeah.
So what we take, you can take a supplement of N-acetylcarnicin. You can find them online. That we're not pushing one to you. You can find N-acetylcarnicin as a supplement you can take it because it will work throughout your body to uncross-link proteins and let your body more efficiently. Sugars are a big enemy of the body, really, because they have these effects of causing this glycation or cross-linking. It's not good for us. You imagine if your liver got all cross-linked proteins, the damn thing couldn't do its job. So that's what we're trying to alleviate as much as possible. People say, "Oh, take antioxidants." Yes, do that. There's a whole range of things and ways you can tackle this. So, I mean, go and look for N-acetylcarnicin. You can see how it's spelled. It's on the screen there. As a supplement, and not our capsules because there's a mixture there, but just N-acetylcarnicin on its own. If you go to YouTube and put that in, you'll find YouTube's going all the advantages of N-acetylcarnicin in the body, and they'll go through it in depth for you, so you can look at that. Yeah. We write a book on how to. We didn't write the book. We commissioned the book from professors. Things you could do to help your sight and things to take. And obviously we mentioned Can-C because we've got all the science behind it. If there's anything else you want to ask about, just fire away. one of the interesting things that happened from that, because we successfully commercialized something that no one else would commercialize, and not only we were successful commercialized selling it, but and delivering it worldwide, because that's one of the systems we developed, is worldwide delivery without being bothered by barriers or regulations. If you want me to tell you how we did that, I'm glad to tell you how we did it, but it's not telling you about the products.
I had to do something similar for the stuff for repairing your third pole of DNA. And they have another chemical that's named the same thing, even they're two different things. And yeah, they tried to make it illegal in England even. So
I missed the start of that, Patty. If you could repeat it, please.
The chemical you can take to rebuild your third pole, it cancels out the three pole negative issue at the outset and lets you rebuild your third pole of DNA.
Just tell me what the third pole is, Patty, please. I don't know
DNA.
about that.
All humans
DNA.
actually originally had three poles of DNA.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, thanks. Right.
There's food and whatnot you can eat in different types. Personally, I like Turkish flashka because that has it in it. It's not the licorice base. It tastes like root beer barrels. It just jazzes me up because I've already got three pole DNA. So
okay, I'll go with that. It's beyond my expertise, so it's not something I've had experience of. So
it's one of the things that Dracos did originally to cripple humans.
Yeah, the reptilian race. Yeah, okay.
And most of us tribes who kept clear of them still retain a three pole DNA. So,
all right. Let me.
And I had the same problem. People couldn't order it. And there's ways around it.
Yeah, well, tell me about that, Patty, because that's exactly what we had to do. We had the drugs, the medicines in store in our English office, and we were mailing them out directly to the end users, purchasers. And of course, we had the equivalent of the FDA in England was called the MCA, the Medicines Control Agency. They're now called the Medicines and Regulatory Healthcare Agency, MHRA. But the
problem is this stuff only comes from overseas.
Yeah.
We ended up with one warehouse in New York, one in California, and we can't keep them stocked.
Oh, well, that's good. The demand is there. Excellent. What happened to us in England was
salmonaic. Yeah. Salmonaic.
Salmoniac, yeah, salmoniac. It's like the licorice sticks. Yeah,
it's in licorice, but you can get it without the licorice. In fact, the Scandinavian countries all put it in their alcohol, their candies, their foods, and everything else. That's why when Chernobyl went down, none of them got cancer, but people from the United States have visited up there for a couple of weeks. By the time they went home, 2 years passed, they got cancer from the fallout. It does a lot of good.
Okay, all right, smash it. We'll have a look
Jim's
at
going to talk about the pineal peptide. So let's see what is called, Patty.
Yeah,
but of course the salmoniac's very cheap. Yeah, to get
the pineal stuff. I'd be interested in what it does, given I've got two of them.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Okay. What happened was because we successfully. Sorry, Patty. Could you mute, Patty?
Yep.
Oh, you are muted. Sorry, yeah.
She muted herself.
What was that word you mouthed at me?
Pineal peptides.
I'm not one of them.
Oh, sorry. Pineal peptides, no?
Yeah. So what happened was, because we successfully commercialized a Russian product, basically of one of their institutes, discovery of one of their institutes. When the Russia opened up and wanted to become more commercial, and this is before the present unpleasantness, we were approached by an ex KGB colonel and said, look, we in the Cold War we had a problem that we didn't have the technology of the Americans, because the Americans could have a battlefield laser. They could blind all our troops, and we couldn't do anything about it. So the Russian military made it a priority for their medical division to find something that would rebuild and fix their soldiers as fast as possible to get them back in the front line. And they they had an unlimited budget because it was deemed a priority. And so the medical division went into overdrive. Now, don't forget, there was no artificial intelligence there. There was, a limited amount of computers, but they did have an awful lot of clever people. So you had an army of lab workers working on this. And what they discovered, and it was a Cold War secret at the time, but what this colonel had come to us and said is, look, we are now releasing this as a Cold War secret. We want to commercialize it. And this is really a breakthrough we discovered. And the breakthrough discovery they found was peptides, short peptides, which is like, and I'm sure all your listeners are familiar that proteins are made up of amino acids. There's 21 amino acids, and in different combinations, they make different proteins. It's like Lego blocks. Well, if you join two amino acids together, it's a short chain peptide. That's what it's called. And interestingly, what I just showed you about CanC, N-acetylcarnosine, is in fact a short chain peptide. I know we're putting it in our eyes, but it's nevertheless the same. Technically, it's the same. It's a short chain peptide. What the Russians discovered was that peptides are gene switches. They fit exactly into the curve of the DNA and switch genes on or off. And it's what your body uses naturally to do that function. So what they found was that 5% of all these short peptides, dipeptides, two amino acid linked chains, 5% of them are gene switches in the human body. So they work in the human body to change things. Now, you can't overdose on them, because imagine walking into an office and you switch the fax machine on every time you walked in. It doesn't make any difference how many times you switch it on, it's already on. And that's the thing about peptides, they're switches. So you can't overdose on them. They're natural, they're completely safe. And what the amazing thing was, it was that 8 weeks of these peptides is all you need. So let's say your thyroid was overactive or underactive, doesn't make any difference. I've forgotten the word, hyper or hope, what I'm looking for. Anyway, overactive or underactive didn't make any difference. The 8 weeks of peptides, your thyroid would be normal. It'd be in the range it's supposed to be in, which is the body's looking to get it into the correct range. So no drug can do that. And this was the big thing that they found. So this was amazing in itself, that it basically normalized all these functions in the body, all these different areas. And so, like the pineal gland peptide that we have, because they're all specific to different parts of the body. So there's one for blood, one for heart, one for muscle, one for bones, one for joints. They've isolated all their work is what they did. And of course, it cost them billions. Now you've got people like Google spending billions trying to discover just this thing. What is the safe key to get people young again or improve them? So the Russians have already done this, and here it is. And not only have they done it, it's available now because we're making it available to anybody in the world that wants to take them. So what was interesting, we gave a conference here in England last October, a year ago, and we've got another one in May coming up in the same place. It's in a big old manor house here in Bedfordshire, just north of London. And we presented the Russian scientists who helped develop the peptides, and one of the Russians who runs a clinic and uses the peptides. And we invited many people, doctors and so forth, and institutions, and they were all completely blown away because the science is excellent. And we got rave reviews for this. I mean, it was just a wonderful meeting. Be that as it may, what was interesting is what they found out further for these peptides, and they presented it on stage, was that all of us have built into our cells a 35 to 40 year reserve. And we can activate that through peptides. And there's a guy there's a doctor who we've all signed up with, Bill Lawrence. Let me see if I can find it. It's here somewhere. Anyway, what we did as well, we're all on peptides in the company, obviously because of my age, etc. And we had a blood test, sent it to Bill Lawrence, and he would have it done at an independent lab. I think Age or Age, DNAge is another one, that these independent labs, and they'll measure your telomeres. So they'll put an age to your telomeres. So obviously, when I was 65, sent the blood off. I'm 65. That's what my telomere length is, obviously. So I took the peptides for a year, just a range of them. Actually, we found out that you only take 3 of them to get the best results, and the pineal gland is one of them. Got the blood tested again at the beginning of the next year, and I'd gone back to 64. So I'd gone back a year. I got that wrong. I tested it when I was 68, and it came back with the age I was 60. My telomeres had got that of a 65-year-old. I've just had another test, and I've been taking these peptides intermediately. I'm now 63. My telomeres are a length of a 63-year-old. I'm actually 69. So what we're doing is lengthening the telomeres. Now, if you don't know what telomeres are, I can describe them to you. Your chromosomes, which is your bundle of DNA, it's a big tangle in an X shape. If you stretched it out, because it's microscopic, but if you stretched it out, it would be over 6 foot long in each cell that you've got in your body. And these are the information. It's like a piece of magnetic tape, if you like, but it's coded in molecules, 4 coded molecules. But on your chromosome, this bundle of DNA, tangle of DNA, on the ends of the X, if you like, they have telomeres, and their telomeres are just like those plastic keepers you have on your laces on your shoes. It stops the fraying. So these telomeres, this is what early scientists thought, were stopping the chromosome, because every time it splits, it duplicates itself, and the cell splits into 2. That's how you replicate yourself. That's how you're constantly renewing your body. These telomeres on the ends of the chromosomes were shortening every time. Now, Dr. Hayflick, you've probably heard of the Hayflick limit. It put a limit on how long our life was. And of course, what he was basing it on, he put cells in vitro in a glass test and tube with nutrients, and he saw how many times they could split and renew themselves. And there was a limit. They only did it so many times, and they stopped. He said, right, that's the limit of cell replication. Therefore, that's the limit of our life length. And it's called, for many years, it's known as the Hayflick limit. But what he didn't know, of course, about at the time was that it was the shortening of the telomeres, these little things on the end of the chromosome that stopped the fraying, they thought. They were shortening every time there was a duplication of the cell, a splitting of the cell. And when they got too short, the cell wouldn't do it anymore. It wouldn't split anymore. So that was the limit. Now, there was some stuff called, there's a Chinese herb called astragalus. There's an extract from that. It was developed by a big company, massive company in biotech. And they found the extract of astragalus could lengthen telomeres. It was pretty weak, actually, if you look at it. But then again, it was bought by a chap, and we happened to be sitting next to him in a conference, and we started talking about it. He came out with a product. He bought that patent off this big bio company, and he brought out a product called TA65. And it was like $400 a bottle, you know, for a couple of months of capsules. It was incredibly expensive. So we actually, when that came out, we started selling it because people wanted to extend their telomeres. What we found out from the Russians was these peptides just extend the telomeres so much better. And these peptides aren't expensive. You know, if you wanted to sort out your thyroid, you take 8 weeks. That's just 2 boxes of these peptides, and they're like $65 a box. You know, that's cheaper than any drug or any solution you'll find that's actually effective. So this is the amazing thing about peptides. Not only can you correct your body's functioning in all these different areas, you can decalcify your peptide, but your pineal gland, by the way, because that's what a lot of people are buying it off us to do, to improve your pineal functioning. So apparently you'll do very well if you got 2. But you can access this telomere lengthening. So what you're doing is accessing the 35 to 40 year reserve that you've got built into your body. So the idea is to stay lucid and agile. So you can think clearly, you're not a vegetable when you get older, and you can still move properly. You're agile. So you're making sure you haven't got cross-linking in your proteins, in your muscles, and your whatever it is. So across the board, these peptides are just absolutely groundbreaking. Now, technically, they're a food because they're an extract of meat. So it's from bovine cows. These short 2-chain amino acids have been filtered out and then freeze-dried and put into capsules. That's what these peptides are. Now, they do it. The Russians make injectables, but we've decided not to carry them because there could be so many problems in letting people do their own injections. So much easier. We give you the capsules. We supply the capsules. You take these for 8 weeks, and if you've got a thyroid problem, let's say it was, bang, you've cured it. If you want to go across the whole board, there's 3 that you can take that will give the biggest bang for buck, and you just take them, say, at the beginning of the year, and then the beginning of the next year. That's it. You don't need any more. These are switches. So it's not like a drug where you have to keep pumping it in and getting the balance to get your body to do something. These are switches. These actually go down to genetic level, make the switch, and you can then just re-switch at the next year just to make sure that everything's as it's supposed to be. This is an absolute breakthrough. It hasn't really caught on yet. People now there's somebody called US Peptides who are selling peptides to people. I've not seen the science. They haven't supplied the science. I don't know. I've seen the science of the Russians military, and it's massive. I mean, let me put it in proportion. They recorded everything on this and the test, and they used the military, of course, as well as civilians. 30 million patient data. 30 million. You don't get that in the West. Do you know how many patient data got Viagra approved? I'll tell you, 7. 7 patient data got Viagra approved. Did they fiddle it? I think they did. But anyway, this on the science behind the peptides, 30 million patient data. You've not seen that in the West. You will not see anything like it. Now, there are people out there pushing peptides. I haven't seen what the science is or where they got the information from, or how they know which 5% are the gene switches for the humans. I've not seen any of that, but there's plenty of people selling them, but there's no science behind it. I can't see it. So it's a bit strange, but that is the world we live in, isn't it? How long have I been going now? Oh God, it's 8:15.
Yeah, it's past.
I'll stop there. I'll take any questions anybody wants.
Okay, we can start with Patty. Patty, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a meat eater, and tribes always have been, and with double pineal glands. I've noticed just going back to cooking my own meals and stuff since getting out of Harborside, I'm getting younger looking, and I forced Christine to eat meat for a change, especially cow meat, and she's having similar symptoms, de-aging symptoms.
Yeah. No, if you can eat grass-fed meat, it has so many beneficial effects on the human body. Absolutely, Patty.
And the problem is now here in the United States, I don't know how much longer beef is even going to be safe to eat, because they're now starting to inject all the cows and chickens and everything else with the jab. So
yeah, no, it is a problem. It's going to be a problem. I don't know what the answer is, but we're doing what we can to help people to get back into homeostasis, which is the balance the body's looking for.
If I can publish this on YouTube, that would be great, because we're going to get more viewers here.
Yeah,
it's going to help.
that's why I used the word I did.
Yeah, thank you, Patty. Thank you. Oh boy,
it's pretty bad in the land of the free, with free speech in the Constitution, that you have to actually censor yourself, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. Hey, Jim, can I ask you a question about the yeah, going through your website and listening to your brother talk as well in interviews. Thanks for all the links you gave me to prepare myself here. I just wanted to know about the you know, in the beauty industry, we know about the vampire facelifts, but you do something like that procedure as well, taking the blood and bashing it up and then injecting it back into the osteoarthritis patient's knees that will help grow the cartilage. Would you want to talk a little bit more about that, please?
Sure. We work with a Rome surgeon. He's actually over here in England, actually now working for the NHS. Why, I have no idea. But for 20 years, he ran in his surgery in Italy, in Rome. You go in, it's a very short procedure, it's a couple of days. In fact, I'm probably going to go over and ask him to travel to Rome and do it for me there, probably because he can't do it under the NHS. But sorry, I divert. You go and see him, he'll draw your blood, he'll put it into a machine, and what he does is heat it up and cool it down. And what it does, it ends up, what's in that glass vial is a gel, because that's how your blood ends up. But what it's done, it's released all the heat shock proteins. Now, the heat shock proteins are the defense mechanism in your body. And so you go back the next day, and let's say you've got a knee problem, your knee's worn out or whatever it is. So what he does, he gives you a small anesthetic around the knee, and then he'll make a little slit, say above the knee, and he'll take a little sliver of your blood gel, it's your blood gel that you gave earlier, and he'll put it into that cut, and he'll stitch it up, and he'll do that all around the knee in a little circle, little cuts and implant. What this does is it floods that area with stem cells, and everything grows back. Your cartilage, bone, tendon, the lot. It goes back to a young condition. You know, it's so much cheaper than having a metal knee joint put in and all that huge trauma of having your bones cut and so forth, which my mother had. She had 2 knee joints done. This is so much cheaper, so much more natural, and it's your blood that's gone back in you to get that flood of stem cells.
And
So,
it gets
but it's
accepted
only in
by
a
the
limited
body.
place that they can do this.
no,
No, it's anywhere in the body, right, Jim? I mean,
No, I
it can
mean-
be anywhere in the face as
Oh,
well.
I'm sorry.
Have the
you mean
procedure done. I meant.
the location, you mean? No, we're working with the Bahamas at the moment because they want medical tourism down there. We're trying to get it approved down there because people with joint problems, it's so much cheaper just to or we could even do it on cruise ships. Once cruise ships are in international waters, you could get it done on a cruise ship. So we're trying to. So sorry.
Isn't it called the platelet-rich plasma process?
I haven't heard it called that particular
It's
one.
the PRP process, right? I mean, it's developed by somebody who invented that process, and it seems to work very well because it helps the body regrow the stem cells that is needed, like the replacement of the cartilage,
Well, I'm sure
synovial fluid.
I'm sure this surgeon is the only one who's discovered it. You take your own blood, you heat and cool it, not to destructive levels, but you'll get the heat shock protein produced by the blood, obviously. And then it's a gel by the time you finish because you've evaporated all the moisture, but you put that back into the body. Well, you can whiz it up and what's the word I'm looking for here? Into a liquid and then inject it, as what you're saying. That's also possible. But what it does once it gets back in there is cause this flood of stem cells. And of course, stem cells is we have a huge reserve of stem cells in our body, undifferentiated cells, and then they can become whatever they need to become. So you repair whatever needs to be repaired. So I'm sure that's going on. I only know about this one from the Italian surgeon because he comes to all our meetings. And but yes, no, there's no problem with that process whatsoever. Using your own blood, get to shock it, get the heat shock proteins out, and those are the triggers for stem cells. Put it back in your body. The trouble with stem cells, you can't target them. This is why when he wants to repair the knee, he has to do this sort of cut little cuts all the way around, because that's the trauma the body reacts to and says, right, this is the area that needs fixing. Because people used to have stem cell injections, but if they were on their way to the surgeon and they scraped their knee on a bicycle or something, and then they had the stem cell injection, the stem cells will all go to where the scrape was, the most recent damage. They couldn't target them. There's been people since who said they can target them, but none of it's been proved. But this methodology, which is so cheap because it's your own blood, just heating and cooling the blood with gel, it's got to be the answer for us in the because what we're looking for is answers now, not, oh yes, this is interesting technology, in 10 or 20 years it'll be approved and you can use. No, we're not interested in that. We want something now. You know,
I wonder if that'll work on disc.
Yeah.
Between
They want it
L5
right
and my
now.
pelvis is got a lateral tear through it. It pisses spinal fluid. I wonder if it could repair something like that.
Your stem cells can repair anything in your body because they're undifferentiated. If you've got damage in one area, that's the area they'll end up in, and they'll turn into the right molecules.
Normally, I
Started-
could repair anything, but this latest thing at Harborside, they mixed naproxen sodium with spracolone and basically killed my reproductive organs. And when that happened, my endocrine crashed and my ability to self-heal tanked.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry to
see,
hear.
now peptides would help you with that because we'll get your repair or your immune system back up to normal. We can normalize it with peptides. That is the beauty of them. We've got, if you see that musculoskeletal bioregulator, we call them bioregulators because technically peptides are not classed as medicine. But if you try to sell them with MasterCard or Visa over the internet, say, MasterCard and Visa have classed them as medicines. They're the only people who have. They're not even scientists or doctors. Unbelievable how a bank or consortiums of banks can start dictating what is and what isn't a medicine. But anyway, so we call them bioregulators because then that's not classed as, we call them supplements because technically they're food. They're just something from bovine extraction of a bovine product. So yeah, you would help by taking start off with peptides before you get to injections. I mean, we try to avoid the injection part of things because it's so difficult to know what people are doing on the other end. You know, because obviously send them something to somebody, we've lost all control or overview. Not that we're looking to control anything, but that's why we avoid injectables. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I think you could go to Jim's website to find out what peptides is suitable for whatever problems.
Well, there's one straight in the middle of the screen there called Cartalaxin. These are all Russian names, by the way. All ours are called bioregulators, and then we just put a name on, like prostate bioregulator, pineal
Screen
bioregulator.
capture on it.
It's okay, Patty. I'll give you the link later on privately.
I just did a whole screen capture of the site. So.
Hello, Jim. Have you ever heard of a drug called GC Math?
Yes, indeed. Met the guy. Been to conferences with
David
him.
Noakes.
Yes, Ben's met him and his wife. We actually advised him on distribution because we know how to do it without regulatory problems.
It's a cancer drug, yeah? It's a cancer drug.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Cancer drug, very good repairer, maintenance of the human body and very active. He's done some sterling work, but he went head to head with Big Pharma and the regulators, and we told him how to do it and do it quietly. And in fact, we volunteered to do the distribution for him because we wouldn't have had any problems sending it anywhere. And he went, no, I'll do it on my own. He was very, how should we say, willful. I'll be kind. And he immediately ran into the huge problems and they destroyed him. When I saw him, he was at a conference here some time ago now, and he was basically with a begging bowl. He said, I'm trying to raise cash to defend myself. And I think what he was trying to do was run away to a country where he couldn't be extradited from.
Yeah, Lynn got extradited to France, didn't she? And locked up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he was taking his own blood, doing the extraction and supplying the product to people.
Others? You're kidding.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. He was very willful, if you know what that means, Paddy.
Yeah.
He set his mind on something, he just did it, and damn the consequences. And I'm afraid he paid the price. Lovely guy. I wished him all the best. Wonderful product. And
Not only that, but anybody who bought his product paid the price too.
well,
Yeah.
possibly. I can't judge on that, but
There's blood type issues and all kinds of other stuff in that
yeah,
mix.
yeah. Well, we know
Like
that.
me,
Mhm.
I'm O positive RZ. If I put my blood in somebody else and they're not tribe, they will die. It will
Yeah.
turn their entire blood system solid.
Yeah.
Oh.
They
Oh.
You
they
can kill
tested
people
at
like that.
95% well, not cure rate, but recovery rate
Remission. Yes. No, it
Yeah.
was a very effective
on any
remission rate.
cancer.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes.
Yeah.
The latest research, I'm going off it because we're not a cancer company, we're anti-aging. I suppose it comes into it a little bit, but the latest research, if you look around, is now pointing towards body burden, such as heavy metals, light metals like aluminium. None of it, the human body isn't made to have raw metals in it. It's always got to be bound to something for the body to hold it. It's not made to, because we're a chemical electrical machine. We can't have pieces of metal in us, not even in our mouth, as dental posts. But
We used to, your appendix used to process out the metals, but it's so degraded it doesn't do anything anymore.
yeah, no, it doesn't. We did a whole series on we're under the tutelage of Dr. Gary Gordon, and you can go and search him on Google. Dr. Gary Gordon. He had a huge resource, very knowledgeable guy, very good doctor. He may be dead now, but he was like Mr. Chelation, getting the body burdens out of the body. But if you look at our website, you'll see Aging Matters magazine. This is a magazine we publish. You can download all the back issues for free. They're all there, and they're all written in a way that you can understand. And it goes into all the things I've been talking about. There's plenty of issues, so help yourself to those. But cancer, the latest research looks at the basis of the cancer seems to be that you have a body burden, let's say of heavy metal, and it forms a platform for parasites. And since the Industrial Revolution, we don't deparasite ourselves anymore. I don't know why we stopped, because we still have them, we still get them.
There's that, and also taking up radioactive content, which actually destroys or alters the information in your 21st chromosome, which is your repair system.
Yeah.
So it's sending out bogus data, which builds bogus cells, that's cancer.
Yeah. Well, that's
Right.
where peptides come in. They can correct all those problems, because you have a problem in certain areas. But when we say body burden, we're talking about everything. Of course, we're talking about the phthalates, the plastic softeners, the heavy metals, the light metals, the pesticides, the radioactivity, the boron, stuff they're dropping on us in chemtrails, everything, right? But it seems to leave a platform for parasites to get into your body and start replicating, and it seems to be the waste product of those parasites that's causing cancers. And that's why we get things like ivermectin, which we saw a ton of during COVID-19, or the fenbendazole, another anti-worming tablet that actually is clearing people's cancers up. So obviously, when you take a worming product or an anti-parasite product, then your cancer disappears, which is what happened. That's how they found out they had all these animals with cancer, and they thought, we better deworm them first. And then next thing they found, they didn't have any cancers when they'd given them the fenbendazole. So, when we start looking across the board here, that we probably can address most of the problems that we have, because they seem to be self-induced. We've got dirty environment, we're drinking water out of plastic. And if you leave plastic water in a fridge to chill the water, it gets more bloody contamination from being chilled. So, we should be drinking water out of bottles. It should be clean. Don't drink the municipal water, because they recycle it. So you're getting all the chemicals, the anti-pregnancy pill, all those drugs are still in the water, which is why we've got this outbreak of all these people having sexual problems, because there's massive amounts of estrogen in the water. And it's going to have an effect on babies as they're born, because it's down the line. It's environmental.
You need to get it out of
genetics.
Aquifers and things like that are even becoming contaminated now. But water, activated water, H2O is the best stuff to be drinking, but
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
can't get it anymore, hardly, because they're contaminating the aquifers now with the fracking.
Yeah, that's right. And do you know what gives us activated water for free and clean? It's plants.
Mm-hmm. Because they clean it before they send it up the trunk.
Stick it up your what? Sorry?
Right. Sorry, Patty.
I didn't catch what you said.
The trees, filter all that stuff out in the roots before they send it up the trunk.
Yeah. Well, if you get a melon, you've got all structured. It's full of structured water.
Yep. And trees are the only thing that actually, the process of photosynthesis and everything is the only thing in nature that actually acts faster than light. It takes the shortest route, tests it all out and everything, and moves the material faster than the speed of light.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say to everyone. Please unmute yourself and ask the question, because Patty's session is about to start, and this is your last chance, last 1 or 2 questions. And we got to.
And a lot of what I say as far as training your pineal gland and everything actually ties back into what he has been discussing and how to do it naturally via manifestation.
Wonderful. Yeah, I also am going to put on the chat the link for my own research on Jim's website, which is so full of information. If you got time, you just go through it. But I'll share with you my findings here. There you go. So because some of you are asking about the pineal peptides and all that, it's all there. And this link that I gave you is specifically for the pineal bioregulator.
Yeah, and if they do nothing else, buy the book. Because you can't do this stuff via manifestation if you don't have the data. So if you do nothing else, buy the book.
Yeah.
Okay, if you go to the magazine, you'll find there's one there, recent one called Hacking Aging with Peptides with Dr. Bill Lawrence, who's the guy that did my blood tests. And he is taking high net worth individuals, putting them on these peptides, and basically they're paying for everything. Bill's getting them tested, and for every year that he reverses or extends their telomeres, reverses their cellular life, they pay him $10,000.
Oh, geez.
So he's making a lot of money from it, and these rich people are happy because they're going to live longer. So there's nothing else working like that or available out there, as to our knowledge. You can read all about it if you want to. Sorry, Chris, I'm going on.
Oh, sorry. No, what I'm saying here is, what about the people who can't afford it? I mean, are they putting a sort of a foundation?
The beauty is, Crystal, Crystal, that you can buy the peptides directly from us. You don't have to go through Bill, and you can reverse your own telomere shortening. It's not expensive. It's like $65 a box.
Which one is that you should buy?
Well, the pineal one. The pineal is the conductor of the orchestra of your body's hormones, all the other systems. So if you get the conductor up to speed, the rest will follow. We found that also the blood one. So there was 3. Get the main thing. I think it was the blood one, the pineal gland, and the thymus. Those got the biggest bang for buck. But just go with the pineal, because he's the conductor of the orchestra of your body.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jim, for all this information. Folks, this is what we're looking for, really. I mean, knowledge is power, and it's also going to extend your life here. But Patty say, let's get out of here. We're not going to fix this planet. So we will listen to her in the next session.
I'm trying to get everybody to graduate,
The information's free. The information's free. You just get the magazines. It's written in. Look, in that one with Bill Lawrence, there is my brother's actually conducting it like an interview. So he's asking questions, he's getting the answers. It's very easy to absorb, and you'll be up to speed in no time. Just help yourself to the information.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for doing all that you've done in the past to gather so much information on your websites, in your magazine. So we all could be a happy party.
And one of the important things about all that also helps to reconnect to your soul, link at your heart, and all of that too. So
Yeah, if
it's
you've got
all for
a
peace.
fully functioning body,
Yeah.
it's there as a connector, it's a container for the soul. So it
Yeah.
all connects up as it's supposed to.
Yeah.
There's so many pollutants and body burdens coming in. That's the
Exactly.
problem, at the basis of the problem, a lot of the problems.
The
So,
people
yes,
that
get
I've
yourself
worked
healthy.
on,
Eh?
that's the thing, is I've had to force passages back into place and stuff because they've been all cluttered up.
Yeah,
And that burns up a lot of energy doing it
sure
on a
does.
person by person basis.
Yeah.
I can't, you know,
So
I'm
much
limited on
needs
who I can
fixing.
do, you know.
Yeah, so much needs fixing over and continuously
Yeah.
because this whole planet is so messed up. It's so poisonous and wow, toxic, isn't it, Patty? Right. So
Yeah,
that
and
brings us to,
those toxics shut down the energy flow of your body and everything else, and then a lot starts going wrong.
Mhm.
What I'm
From the
working with now
shedding.
with my right leg and foot, they used some sort of anesthetic on me when they worked on my left foot, and it screwed me up for months. And now things ain't healing, and I'm having to try and get stuff cleaned out of me.
Mhm.
And
Well,
this is why
we have a section on chelation, which is the removal of body burdens.
Yeah.
Parasites are also a body burden. Of course, you can't do that with things like EDTA and DSM. But it's across the board. You arm yourself with knowledge. We're giving it away free here. You just get up to speed, and you'll find your own path.
And that's
So,
like me. I give it away free. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe I can one of these days, if Jim is free, Pat is free, I can arrange for a conversation for you two. Okay. Patty, Jim, if you stay on, if you got time, Patty has a lot of messages for us, very important messages.
All right, I'll sign off, Krista. Lovely meeting you all. I'll shut up now and I'll mute. And
you can catch up with the recording anyway.
I'll listen. Yeah, but I'll listen to Patty as we go.
I'd like a question. You mentioned parasites. Do you have anything to recommend for the parasites?
Yeah, ivermectin and fenbendazole.
Phenylzole? Yeah, the one that kills cancer.
They've had marvelous reaction with fenben, FENBEN, nazole. Yeah.
Yes.
That one, and ivermectin also, it works by a different vector, but it also is an antiparasitic.
Yeah.
And that was what people were buying in COVID, and it was knocking COVID-19 out.
Yeah.
It's better than Jim Humble's
MS, isn't it? Whatever, I can't remember. No, that's
MSM.
all right. Yeah, MSM. That works, but bloody hell, is it horrible, taste-wise.
Yes.
Yeah, we got the CDS as well, developed by Culture. Sorry, Pontus, what's his full name again? Andreas Culture. Andreas Culture. That our R&D member Boris Dragin has been teaching all of us how to make the CDS solution.
Okay.
I can share the link with you, Jim, if you like.
I will take a look at it. I mean, fenbendazole is cheap. Ivermectin's cheap. We know what to do. We know what the result is. So,
right.
You pays your money, you takes your choice. I'll shut up now. But send me the link. Lovely to meet you all.
Oh, thank you,
Jim. Great to meet you.
We have one more question from Alex.
Okay, Alex, speak up.
Yes, I had a question. Like if we order ivermectin, when they send it, as I say, like it's a supplement or something like that, because there are countries that it is forbidden. So I'm kind of like afraid that like if we order it, that the post office, it happens to me once that the post office made me pay them for some fee or something. They hold it because, so yes, it is concealed like supplements or something like that.
I mean,
so
can you get citric fruits? Because if you can get citric fruits, you can make your own.
Okay.
Alex, did you get
Alex,
well, yeah.
what country are you in, Alex?
Well, I'm in Southern
Okay.
Europe, but I was wondering that it doesn't say anything in the package that it is ivermectin. No, it just says supplements.
I tell you, Alex, what we've done, and we've been in this business well since the 80s, is we found out is that we wrap everything, you know, I mean, in brown paper or so, and we handwrite the address, so it looks like a personal package, not a
Oh,
commercial
wonderful.
package.
Okay, so it is discreet. Yes, okay, good.
Well, we have 99% no stoppages.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay, great.
Y-
That's what I
You're
was
looking
asking.
for medication for your mom, right, Alex? Oh,
Yes, yes.
sweet. Anyway,
Oh, if no more questions, I'll
yeah.
let the proceedings continue. But lovely meeting you all. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Jim,
very
for
much,
gracing our platform and sharing your knowledge with us. Truly
You're
grateful to you, Jim.
You're very
We would
welcome.
love to have you back with more information. One of these days, we will pull you back.
Sure, no problem. I'm still here listening, but do carry on, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jim. All right, there being no other business now, this first session of our 117th FESIG meeting is now adjourned to the second session. So we can stop the recording now. Thanks.